Thank you, Diana. And welcome once again, everybody, to another episode of Connector Corner. I'm Charlie Greenberg, and we'll once again highlight a specific pre-built connector available through the integration service connector catalog. Today, the spotlight is on our Workday connector and how you can utilize Workday Events to seamlessly support employee onboarding. And speaking of support, a quick shout out to Diana Gray, our community marketing manager, for all her help. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our subject matter expert, our senior product manager and today's demoer in chief, Samrat Dutta. To you, Samrat.
Thank you, Charlie. Um, yeah, so first of all, I would like to welcome you all once again uh, to this webinar, and we are going to discuss on a topic which is not only business critical, but to some extent also close to my heart, which is employee onboarding, right? And in an era where all businesses are trying to streamline processes. I think personally, this employee onboarding automation is a little bit repetitive. It is prone to human errors, and of course, it is a bit tedious because it involves a lot of team members, approvals, all sorts of problems, right? So that's why I think this process needs a bit of basically, this area is ripe for innovation and improvement, of course. So we will start with our propositions, values, right? So who does this help? To be honest, employee onboarding has the capability to help each and every team within a business, right? Starting from human resources team, imagine, um, you know, the Form W4 or Form I9, those kind of automations, right? Where after an employee is hired, they would need to go through some paperwork, sign some forms, stuff like that. Or even you can imagine uh, consolidating all the steps after an employee is hired, whatever paperwork they need to do, and send it across over an email, right? That would be interesting. So that's how HR team can leverage the Workday uh, connector that we have. Of course, without the event triggers, it is not, uh, you know, uh, it is not that valuable, I would say. But event trigger is what everyone has been looking out for until now. Of course, the IT team also can leverage the uh, Workday connector. And imagine as soon as an employee is onboarded, they need to set up devices. They need to first of all set up a user in Azure Active Directory, right? And set up access rights and stuff like that. So that is also perhaps a good use case that we can automate, right? Similarly, for compliance and legal team, training and development, of course. I mean, once you would want your employees onboarding to be as sweet as possible, right? Because that kind of indicates how how the starting node is going to be, right? If the starting is great, I guess the journey is going to be great. So imagine your employees getting onboarded and you sending training materials, orientation documentations and stuff like that to your employees, right? That makes a good use case. Now, why is it useful? I think it brings us to the same calculations, right? It is more efficient than doing manual redundant jobs for each employee being hired. Also, like I said, the experience matters. So if you can enhance the employee experience, I think they would they would be more engaged, and they would have a clear expectation of the what to expect, right, out of the learning and onboarding. And also, this helps you to be more collaborative with your cross teams, right? HR, IT, managers, trainers, all can be aligned with a single process that you maintain for your business. Coming to the connector and activities, competitive positioning, I think we have invested and we will continue to invest a lot on how the experience is, right? While using activities in Studio or Studio Web. So that's what we have invested a lot. And we have tried to make it uh, as much citizen dev friendly as we could possibly. But yes, I mean, not disagreeing. There is always room for improvement, and we will make sure to fill those gaps in. Uh, also, it is more cost efficient and stuff like that. Now, uh, the key features, right? Uh, so these are actually the event triggers. First of all, you all should know when we released Workday, right? So we released it uh, as part of general availability of our August release. And this actually is a clear picture of what the Workday connector and activity package has as of today. The version is 5.3.1. And coming to triggers, you have employee created, position opened, closed, worker updated, and worker created. Now, uh, you could perhaps you could already visualize what processes you could build with these events. I can give an example. With position opened, you could actually implement a UI automation to go to your job posting site and kind of scrape the data for job description, job title, and stuff like that, and post it, right? You could also send out internal emails to your existing employees that, hey, we have new positions, so please feel free to uh, refer someone that you know. Coming to activities, we have create position, list all open positions, getting pre-hires by email, creating pre-hires, and of course, in the end, we have the hire employee. Okay, so we are today going to take a look at a very crisp. It's going to be uh, a small one because we want to make use of the time appropriately. It is an IT automation use case. Basically, whenever a new employee is hired in Workday, you want to create a new user in Active Directory. And obviously, the applications that we will use is Workday and Azure Active Directory. Now, uh, if you look at the business benefits, like I said, it's going to be a crisp demo, and it does not involve any kind of complexities. So we will see how fast we can set it up because we are going to build this demo live and take it from there. So with that, I will actually ask for Charlie to give me the sharing permission. Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. Of course, I've been practicing a little bit. So today is 17th, right? I will create a new project in Studio Web. Okay. And like I said, we are going to leverage the Workday events, right? So we are going to switch to Event Trigger, choose Workday. Okay. And then we are going to click on the event dropdown and select the employee created event. Now, just so I don't run into issues, because this account is not just me using it, there might be other UiPath inside us who is using it. So let's test the trigger once. Awesome. So we don't have any recent items created in the last hour. By the way, this test trigger is actually an experience for you to see, uh, while debugging, if you wanted to see how the workflow would react, uh, that's where this test trigger is helpful, right? Um, and as soon as I hire a new employee, this test trigger should actually give us a matching record. So we will see that. Okay. So we have the event trigger for employee created. Next, what we are going to do is do a get record. Same for the employees. Great. We're going to switch to object view in this case because Workday has a lot of nested arrays. Like if you have worked on Workday, you would understand. So object view is a lot more easier to operate with. For the employee ID, we are just going to use variable as we do, and I'm going to select the output of the event trigger. So at this stage, we should be able to fetch the entire employee record that we have hired afresh or newly, right? Um, Next, what we are going to do is create user. Sorry, we should remove this. Create user in Azure Active Directory, right? That's what you're going to use. And while I design the workflow, we are going to see a very exciting feature, which is expression generator. So which has the potential to guide you for any complex data manipulation that you would want to do in your workflow, right? So let's see how we can leverage that. Okay, so we have the event trigger, we have fetched the employee record in this stage, and what we are going to do is just fill this up using variables. Mail nickname, we can have it as personal data, and I'm going to select the first name. That necessarily qualifies for the nickname in most cases. So first name, okay. User principal name is nothing but the email that you would want to put, right, for the user in Azure Active Directory. And for that, I need to do a quick check of what our domain is. So let me just grab it real quick. Azure AD. That's my domain. So now we will see how the expression uh, generator helps us. So once I have opened the expression editor, all we need to do is type in merge, uh, maybe 3 strings, right? And it'll give you an expression. There you go. What I'm trying to do is, uh, kind of build an email by concatenating multiple strings, right? So likely the first name, last name, and the company domain. So here right away, I'm going to assign the domain that we have, which is UiPath sandbox on Microsoft.com. And obviously, these are going to be replaced by the first name and the last name. So let's see, you can go to insert variable, get record. And what we are going to do is again, go to personal data, name data. I think there's something within it. Just a moment. Name data and legal name data dot, dot first name, right? I will copy it and also paste it in here, replace it with last name. Okay, so there we have the user principal name followed by the company domain. I'm going to save it. Name, again, we are going to open expression editor, and now I'm going to say merge two strings with a space in between, right? Because that first name and last name, there needs to be a space, and I'm going to again replace it with first name and last name. I'll just replace this one. Done. Initial password, we can just say welcome 123. You can optionally choose whether the user needs to change the password during next login, or or no, right? So I can set it to true in this case. And that's it. We are done setting up the workflow. I will just put a right line in here to make sure we have the right candidate here. So let me go to expression editor, and I'll just need this. Okay, first name should suffice. Okay, awesome. Now, coming to the next step, right? We need to hire an employee, and for that we already have a workflow because we also need to abide by the time allotted. So in this workflow, what I'm doing is I'm creating a position and I am creating a pre-hire on top of that position. Later on, we'll go to Workday and hire that position manually. So that's what we are doing. I'll give it some time to load. Okay, great. So we have it here. I am going to change the name a little bit. Okay, awesome. So let me run this right now. If you notice, there is a small delay activity in here because uh, these steps are asynchronous in Workday, right? So the moment you create a position, you don't get the ID back. It takes a while to, kind of get the approvals automatically, at least in our organization, and then you get the position. So that's why we have the delay here. And the same position ID we are using in create pre-hire. Okay, so our pre-hire is ready to be hired. Next, I am just going to type in hire employee in Workday. Existing organization, it's going to be Korea. That's where I created the position, and it's going to be an existing pre-hire. Just typing the name. Hire date, it's going to be today. And reason, it's acquisition hire. Position, I think it was called Center Executive 1, if I'm not wrong. Call Center Executive 1, so that's correct. Employee type should be regular, and job profile, call center operator, time type full-time, location. I'll give something, maybe Amsterdam. Do you have anything? Yep. Okay. Now I'm going to submit. Please bear with me while this approval process I go over, right? So there's some approval processes. We have Logan McNeil, so I'm just start a proxy and approve this hire request. Isn't going to take a long time, but yeah. Okay, so I'll go to inbox of Logan. and quickly submit. Okay, I forgot to put the salary. So let's say 40,000 euro. Submit, yep. View details. Next, we will have to start proxy for Nicoleta. These are all manual processes in Workday, right? Because it requires approval and stuff like that. So I'll do the same thing within Nicoleta's profile. Approve. Yes. Okay, great success. The same thing for Jong Suno. Just one more step and we'll be done. Start proxy. Similarly, he needs to approve. And the final stage is the manager's manager, right? Process and start proxy. Inbox. Yes, approve. No more steps. Thanks for bearing with me. Uh, okay, so we have the employee now. All I'm going to do is put a breakpoint in here and make sure that I have a trigger to test. Awesome, I have one. So let's run it and make sure that's the same employee we are getting, right? Something is not right. See, even though it says test trigger. I know the problem. I put a get above it. But nevertheless, I think it will run. I don't really require the right line. I'll disable it. Let's run it. I'll perhaps also move the breakpoint, not required. Okay. While this is running, I'm going to sweat a little. I won't lie, but let's see. Okay, great. So we have created a new user and it was Subhra Acharya, if I'm not wrong. So let's search. Okay, great. So we have two Subhra Acharyas, but yeah, but that's one of the users we created. And I guess that's all I wanted to showcase today. Back to you, Charlie, for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Samrat. Much appreciated. And to follow up on that, we would like to note that we have some additional information to share with you. One is a blog about 5 essential API features for end-to-end automation. We also have a Connector Corner playlist, which you can find on YouTube, and there you would find additional demos by none other than Samrat Dutta and others, all focusing on one connector and other connectors that might be involved in a particular automation. And of course, we always want to have you take a look at the integration service on the website. So moving right along with our come hither information. Our next Connector Corner webinar, apart from the playlist, that's a different thing, is how Jira and OpenAI support service issues in multiple languages. Translation being, as you probably know, one of the use cases within OpenAI or Gen AI. Uh,
I'm
just
I'm
go.
I'm extremely sorry to interrupt in between, Charlie. I have just a couple of quick questions related to the Workday integration. We just seen the demo. If I
Oh
can
yes,
go
yes.
now,
I'm
or
sorry.
I can just wait for the last two.
Yeah, yeah. I Everyone gets a chance to uh, put in questions or doing what you're doing, which is to join in a conversation. We're happy to have you do that. So just bear with us just another couple of moments because actually I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and the way to answer those questions is to go into the chat box at this point and respond if you would. The first one is, what has your workday experience been like? And the second half of that, if you will, would be what enhancements would you suggest? And also, we would be interested in hearing, as far as the Connector Corner series is concerned, what connectors would you like to see in this particular venue? So I actually have a couple of questions, but I think I would like, since you raised your hand, would you come back and ask those questions?
Sorry, are you asking me for that?
Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if
Yeah,
you were,
sure.
you raised your hand, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. I sorry, I misheard the name actually, so I was just confused. So just a quick one on that. So, uh, Samarth, right? If I'm getting it right. Okay,
It's
right.
Samrat.
So yeah, Samrat. So the moment it was showing the two results in your Active Directory, basically. So just wanted to quick check on that. The one user out of it, it was just already created already as a test of part, or it was just kind of bug or something that created two
No, no,
user at the
no.
same time.
That's actually great question. And I'll tell you what happened. So I had created a workflow and I had published it to Orchestrator, right? But
Hmm.
with a dot in between. So what happened was it picked up, although we ran that debug
Correct.
experience, it also
Hmm.
picked up from Orchestrator. But since the email IDs don't match, right, it would
Yes.
allow you to create a new user. So that's what happened.
Oh, I see. And the quick one on while you were creating the flow, basically you written the query there to generate the syntax for any kind of
Yes.
queries you want. So was that a part of integration with integration of UI path with AI, or how that's been handled in the back end? I'm just curious to know that part basically.
Uh, Although I am not the right person to answer that, but yes, there is definitely some intelligence behind the curtains, right? Which is why we can just, type in something and it gives you the equivalent UiPath syntax for concatenating three strings, right?
Right.
So
So
that's for
so
sure AI.
Is it
Yep.
a part of normal standard studio application, or is just for the web studio? That's what I'm interested to know basically.
Um, I can get back to you on that, Hardev.
Yeah, sure.
Um, but I think it's a part of Studio Web for now.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. If you have answers, I'd love to hear about. I
Sure,
think you might be having my email ID there.
sure. I'll reach out to Charlie.
No problem. Thanks for answering anyway.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you for contributing. We really appreciate it. Um, and we're continuing the Q&A now, Q&A proper, with your questions that you would put into chat, or if you want to join the conversation by interacting with us, that would be great too. Uh, so as we're waiting maybe for a couple more questions, Samrat, let me ask you about this because we were talking about this. Workday only supports the employee onboarding use cases. So, what are the plans for bringing in new use cases?
Yeah. So uh, basically Workday is monstrous, right? I mean, and we really want to make sure that whatever we deliver, it is actually, you know, the use cases are SITDEF friendly and everyone understands it. But that said, we have our roadmap, uh, and we want to bring in new use cases, but in a different way, because there are only so much we can do, right? Workday has over, I don't know, 300 visual objects that we could consume essentially. So we are going to bring in a new experience which we call invoke any API, and you could actually call any of the Workday objects. Basically, it'll be like a mini Postman or SOAP UI, right? That you could leverage. That's what we are planning, uh, so that all the use cases are also covered with that. But on top of that, we are also planning some more curations, and we understand it is business critical, like get report, right? That's one of the most used uh, actions. We also have the there's a enterprise bus in Workday, if I'm not wrong. That is also in our roadmap. So yes, we are invested in bringing new use cases. Is the short answer.
Okay. One more from me. Workday authentication is sometimes a challenge. Is there any help at this point to solve that or get around that?
Yeah. So uh, we understand it is a little bit challenge, and it is by design, to be honest, because you need to work with your Workday implementation team or Center of Excellence team to even give you an access integration user, right? So, but that said, we have a community post which everyone can follow while setting up their Workday integrations. But yes, I mean, this is only the SOAP WSDL connector. Once the REST services are okay to be consumed, I mean, Workday should give us a go ahead. I think we are also going to bring in some REST capabilities. So then the authentication will be a lot more simpler.
That's great. Great to hear. So it looks like we don't have any additional questions in the chat in terms of spontaneous interaction going once, twice, three times. Uh, we want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been recorded, and you can find the recording in the next day or so on the community page. In the meantime, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.